Hello, 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 hello. Ooh, hair, crazy. Hello, happy Friday. How is everybody doing? I'm not sure what's going on with the chat. That's weird. But anyway, welcome back. Hi, happy Friday. Happy Friday. We made it through another week. Um, yes, today we are going to be answering the question of, is the coaching industry hard to break into? That is a question that I'm sure is at the top of many people's minds as they're thinking about transitioning into this space. And I'm hoping that this conversation that we're about to have is going to offer some clarity on that. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. I'm hoping that this conversation is going to have offer just a little bit more clarity on that. And just to give you a preview about what it is that we're going to be talking about, first of all, we're going to be talking about who benefits from women believing they need more before they start coaching. Who actually benefits from that? We're going to be talking about the barrier to entry into this space and why you've probably already cleared it. We're going to be talking about the truth about certifications. We're going to be talking about audience size, and we're going to be talking about the niche clarity. Those are the things that people really believe that they need to have as prerequisites. We're going to be talking about what makes someone a good coach and where do those qualities come from. We're going to talk about why your delay in getting into this industry by starting this second stream of income, why that delay has a downstream in consequences for real people on the other side who need you. And we're going to be talking about what the decision to start really truly requires. Okay, so we have a lot of content that we're going to be getting into today. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. But above all of it, we just want to make sure that this question gets answered. Is the coaching industry hard to break into? And I hope I'm going to break it down in a way that makes sense for everyone. So, listen, here's the deal. The coaching industry has a gatekeeping problem. Do you feel like that? Raise your hand. Raise your hand. Drop a yes in the chat or give this video a thumbs up. You can raise your hand if you want to. I'm raising my hand. If you believe that the coaching industry has a gatekeeping problem, do you feel like some of the coaches that you watch on YouTube or Instagram or LinkedIn or wherever it is that you watch these coaches, do you feel like they gatekeep? Do you feel like when you go into their trainings, when you download their products, when you purchase their digital products, or you attend their classes, do you feel like they're gatekeeping? I know I do. And it's not really the formal kind of gatekeeping all the time, because the thing about it is there's no licensing board, there's no regulatory body. So it's not like the formal kind of gatekeeping. For example, if you want to become an attorney or an MD, there's clearly gatekeeping in those industries, right? Financial advisors, real estate agents, there's clearly formal kinds of gatekeeping in that. So I'm not talking about that gatekeeping. So there's no official credential that's required to call yourself a coach and to charge for it in the United States at the time of recording this video. So the gatekeeping that I'm talking about in this industry is informal. It is in the culture, like it is deeply ingrained and embedded in this culture. It is in the content. It is in the message that gets repeated so often that most women, they have internalized those messages as the truth. Messages like, you need more time to start. You don't need more credentials. You don't need more audience. You don't need more clarity. You don't need more proof. You don't need more time, and you don't need more permission. Today, I want to completely dismantle that message because the barrier to entry in coaching is lower than the industry is telling you. And the women who are winning in this space aren't the ones who had the most before they started. They're the ones who started with the least, and then they refused to let the industry convince them to wait. I want to welcome you back to another episode of Nick at Noon. My name is Nick Scott, and I'm the founder and CEO of Her Income Edit. We are an online education platform where we help women turn their existing skills into multiple streams of income through coaching and digital products without leaving their 9 to 5, without burnout, and without starting from scratch. Happy Friday. We have made it almost to the end of another week. So before we get into today's episode, I have to mention real quick, hopefully you've heard about this already, but I am hosting a live workshop on May 30th. It's called Her Income Lab. Registration for waitlist members, it opens next week. So if you are not on the wait list, get on it. So you are first to know when the doors open. There is also special waitlist pricing for those who are on the wait list. The link for the waitlist is in the description, or you can head over to my website at herincomeedit.com/workshop. If you haven't already, I invite you to go get your notebook and your pen or whatever it is that you take notes on. Share this episode with your biz bestie or for a friend who might be thinking about getting into this coaching space. And if you have any questions or comments while you're watching live, drop them in the chat. I don't know, is the chat even available? Because I don't see it on my end here, but drop it in the chat and I'll get to them as we go through the comments, as we go through the content. If you're watching the replay, leave it in the comments and I will get to your question as well, because we are about to get into it. The coaching industry is more accessible than it's telling you. And I want to talk about why. So, can I start by asking a question that I think is worth all of us thinking about? Can I start with the question? Is that okay with you? The question is, who benefits from the belief that coaching requires more than it does? Like, who benefits from that? Because those beliefs, they don't form in a vacuum. They're shaped by incentives. And the incentive structure in the coaching industry points pretty clearly toward keeping the barrier perception very high. Perception being the operative word there. The incentive structure that's within this industry, it is pretty clear why that perception is pretty high as far as I'm concerned. Because certification programs, they benefit from the belief that you need a certification to coach. So the more women who believe they need a credential before they're legitimate, that's more women who enroll in certification programs, right? And the certification industry is a giant in this space. Like David and Goliath giant, like Jack and the Beanstalk giant. Like the certification industry is huge. And programs, they range from a few $100s to tens of thousands of dollars, y'all. And all of these programs are promising the thing that feels like it's missing: the permission, the legitimacy, the right to call yourself a coach without someone challenging you. So that is one person who incentivizes by you feeling like the barrier to entry into this industry is high. The second group of people that are incentivized by keeping the perception of this high barrier to entry is course creators. Course creators, they benefit from the belief that you need more knowledge, you need more information before you start to call yourself a coach. So every new course that you buy to get ready to build your coaching business, that is literally revenue for somebody else. And as long as you believe you're not quite ready yet, you'll keep buying things that promise to get you there. So that's the second group of people within this space that are incentivized by maintaining the perception that there's a high barrier to entry in this space. Social media and marketing software platforms, They both benefit from the belief that you need a large audience before you can make money. They are capitalizing on that, because building an audience, it requires tools. It doesn't just require you to be on the platforms where they're consistently serving you ads all day long, but it requires scheduling software. It requires design platforms like, I won't name any in this conversation. It requires email marketing systems and analytics dashboards, and all of those things, they cost money. It might be free to get on the social media platform, but in order to maintain your audience, it costs money. And all of those tools, the scheduling software, the design platforms, the email marketing systems, the analytics dashboards, all of those generate revenue for the people who are selling those things. And let me be very clear. I'm not saying that those things are worthless, because some certifications have genuine value. Some courses, they teach real skills, and some tools are genuinely useful in your business. But the perception, that's what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the perception around them, the you need this before you can start perception. That perception only serves the people who are selling the products more than it serves the people who are buying them. And the woman who has been caught in that loop, buying and certifying and tool stacking and never quite starting, she is not the beneficiary of that ecosystem. She's a product of it. And so I wanted to start the conversation off by talking about that, because I believe understanding who benefits from the higher barrier to entry myth, I believe that is the first step to seeing through it. That is the first step to seeing through it. So let me tell you what the real barrier to entry in coaching is, because I think when you see it clearly, the whole context of this conversation changes. So I already said it earlier, but I think it's worth stating again that coaching is not a licensed profession in the United States. There is no governing body. There is no board that decides who is and who isn't allowed to practice coaching. There are no regulatory requirements that must be met before you can call yourself a coach and charge for the work. So if that's not the barrier to entry, then what is the barrier to entry? The barrier to entry in this space in coaching is this. The barrier to entry is a skill that helps someone get a result that they could not get by themselves. It's a person who needs that result, and an offer is what connects the two. And that right there is the whole barrier. It's a person and an offer that connects the two. So it's not a certification. It is not a platform. It is not a large following. It is not a published book. It is not a professional headshot, a brand photo shoot, or a website with a color palette. It is one skill, one person, and one offer that connects the skill to that person. And here's what that looks like in practice. So if you're a nurse with 15 years of experience in patient advocacy and you coach other nurses how to navigate the administrative side of healthcare, you don't need a coaching certification to do that. What you need are your 15 years that you're bringing to the table, the problems that you've navigated, the patterns that you've noticed, the results you've produced, and you need one nurse who needs to get where you have already been. Does that make sense? Are y'all picking up what I'm putting down? I have a couple more examples that I want to talk about. I want to talk about the teacher. You know, I love talking about the teachers in these examples, because I think it's an example that not only teachers can understand, but I've never been formally a teacher in a classroom, but I can understand this example when I lay it out like this. So a teacher who has 20 years in the classroom, she might be coaching first year teachers through the specific challenges that cause most new teachers to quit within 5 years. So that teacher who has 20 years of experience in the classroom, she doesn't need a credential to coach or to help first year teachers. She needs to bring her 20 years of experience. She needs to reflect on and know what it's like to survive that first year of teaching. She needs to remember and reflect on and understand and be able to articulate the things that nobody told her. She needs the strategies that she's developed through trial and error that are now second nature in her 20th year of teaching. And she needs one new teacher who's drowning in exactly the way that she once was 19 years ago. Or what about an HR director who coaches women through salary negotiation, career pivots, or the specific dynamics of trying to advance in organizations that weren't built with them in mind? What about that HR director? She doesn't need a certificate to do that. She needs a decade of experience, which she has, that decade of experience watching those dynamics play out. She needs the patterns that she recognizes before her clients can see them. She needs the strategies that work and the ones that look good on paper, but don't. And she needs to find one professional woman who's navigating something that she's already navigated. One skill, one person, and one offer that connects those two. That is the barrier to entry in this space. And I spoke about it in professional, HR director, teacher, nurse. I read something recently that there is a guy somewhere, I don't remember where he is, who used to work at car dealerships. He was a car salesman at a car dealership, at multiple car dealerships. What he does now, I don't know if he calls himself a coach or not, but this is literally the business that he's created, is he now helps people who want to buy cars. He goes in with them, or he tells them exactly what to do and what to say in order to get the best deal on cars. That he one skill, knowing the inside and outs of that system of buying a car, one skill, one person. There's plenty of people who would love to get the best deal on a car, right? And he's created an offer. Another situation that I read about that doesn't necessarily, fall into this professional context, quote unquote professional context, is this one is a little bit more non-traditional. So I don't remember which airline it was, but I don't know if it was Twitter or Threads or whatever social media platform it was. Someone had reached out on social media, almost like a customer service inquiry up to this airline. And they said to the airline, WTF airline, last night when I looked at this ticket price, it was $300. And this morning it's $600. It's literally double. All I'm trying to do is go to this funeral for my family member, to memorialize my family member. And the airline company replied, oh, well, all you need to do is clear your cache, go in incognito, whatever the thing is that this airline suggested. Well, within hours, that response was gone. But of course, somebody had screenshotted it. It's a whole thing. But my point here is people who work within airlines, who know how to get the cheap airline tickets, that right there is a coaching business, because you have a skill, you have a person who needs that skill. All you have to do is create the offer. You recognize the patterns, you know the strategies that work, and you know the ones that don't work. And so when you look at coaching like that, the barrier to entry is one that you have already cleared. And it's cleared by the career you've built. It's cleared by the life that you live. It's cleared by the problems that you've already solved. It's cleared by the results that you've already produced. The coaching business isn't waiting for you to get a credential. Your coaching business is waiting for you to make a decision. It is waiting for you to make a decision. Now, I want to talk about the three most common things in the coaching industry. The three most common things the coaching industry tells women before they can get started in this space. Because remember at the top of the episode, I said it's really in the messaging, it's really in the content that's creating this perception that the barrier to entry is high because there is no formalized barrier to entry into this space. And I also want to tell you why each of these three things that I'm getting ready to talk about, why they are wrong for you to be thinking about as a prerequisite. So the first thing the coaching industry tells women they need before they can start coaching is a certification. Now, I've already made this case, but I want to be specific about the distinction that I'm making. So I'm not saying that certifications have no value. I'm not saying that. So please, nobody go in these internet streets tagging me on social media talking about Nick Scott said coaching certifications have no value, because that's not what I'm saying. Because some coaching certifications, they teach methodology, they teach frameworks, and they teach the skills that make someone a more effective coach. So if you want a certification and you believe that it will help you serve your clients better, my recommendation would be for you to go get the certification. But I don't want you to make the absence of that certification the reason that you haven't started. Because here is what a certification gives you. It gives you a methodology for structuring coaching conversations. And some certification programs do this better than others, but here's what a certification doesn't give you. It does not give you the years of experience that make you specifically equipped to coach the people that you specifically are meant to serve. One skill, one person, one offer. That is the barrier to entry. A certification, it does not give you the pattern recognition that comes from years inside of your life or your specific industry. It does not give you the credibility that comes from having navigated the exact challenges that your clients are facing. It doesn't give a certification doesn't give that to you because those things are already yours. The certification would add a framework to what you already have. But that framework isn't more valuable than the foundation that you have. And you already have the foundation. So that's the first thing that the coaching industry says that you need, and that's a certification. The second thing the industry says you need is a large audience. And we've talked about this a lot last month in April, but I want to say it very clearly one more time. And let's be clear. This isn't the last time that you're going to hear me talking about audience size. Your first client doesn't come from your audience, not your social media audience. Your first client comes from a conversation with someone who already knows you. And you can have that conversation today without one more additional follower on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, you name it. Now, let me also be very clear. The audience does eventually matter. The audience does eventually matter. And if you were with me last Thursday, I believe, on Nick at Noon, we talked about the sequence and order of digital products, and we talked very, very deeply about passive income. If you missed that, Please go back and watch the replay. There's a lot of good information in there. But we talked about the audience, and we talked about how the audience does eventually become necessary, and how the audience does eventually start to matter within your business. Because it's how you scale, it's how you reach people beyond your existing network. But here's the thing, scaling is not a not right now problem. Scaling is a later business stage problem. Your current problem right now, if you're just getting started, is getting your first client. And your first client requires a conversation, not a content strategy. So that is the second thing that this industry says that you need. The third thing that the industry says you need to start your coaching business is a perfect niche. And if you're just joining, the first thing was a certification, you don't need it. The second thing is a large audience, you don't need it. And the third thing is a perfect niche, you don't need it. If you missed all the reason and rationale why you don't need those things, run it back on replay. So let's talk about this perfect niche that you don't need. We talked about this earlier in earlier episodes of Nick at Noon also. And the point that I want to make here is the same one that if you've been watching these episodes or listening to these episodes that I've already made. So the point is the same, and it's going to be the same today, and it'll probably be the same tomorrow. And that is, your niche is something that you find. Your niche is not something that you find before you start. You don't find your niche before you start. It is something that you discover, that you uncover, that you explore and build as you go. Your niche is revealed through conversations. It is revealed through the clients that you served. It is revealed through the feedback that you get from the market. And the coaches who are waiting for a perfect niche and perfect niche clarity before they make their first offer, they're waiting for information that's only available to them after they've made that offer. So start with a direction. Like, what direction do you want to take this coaching business? And then just allow your niche to emerge organically from the work that you're doing, because it will. And when it does, it'll be more accurate than anything you could have tried to define before you actually started working in your business, having conversations and making offers and gathering feedback from the market. So what is the barrier to entry? Is it hard to break into the coaching industry? The answer is no, because it requires just three things. And those three things I've repeated a few times. I'll repeat it again. And that is one skill, one person, and one offer to connect the skill and the person. So now I want to spend some time talking about what makes a good coach. And I don't want you to take what I'm about to say as something definitive, as, these are the requirements for a good coach, but these are just some general parameters, because I think the industry's emphasis on credentials and methodology has created a distorted picture of where coaching quality comes from. So coaching quality, it comes from three things. It comes from genuine, authentic, and real care for the person in front of you. You have to care about your clients. It comes from pattern recognition that's developed through your experience. And then the third thing that coaching quality comes from is, I'm sorry, I got distracted, is the willingness to ask the question that opens up something in your client rather than the one that keeps things comfortable. Our jobs aren't to keep our clients comfortable. Our jobs are to have our clients experience transformation and to deliver the outcomes and the results that we promised. So let's talk about genuine care. Genuine care isn't something that you can learn in a certification program. It's a quality you either bring to your work or you don't. And most women who are even drawn to this space, they bring it naturally because they've spent their entire careers and their entire lives being the person that people come to. They're the person who listens when people speak. They're the person who helps. They're the person who stays after the meeting to make sure that everyone is okay. So the quality is already there. That genuine care that is required for that quality coaching, you already have it. Now let's talk about pattern recognition. So this is what you'll develop or you have developed through years of experience in a specific area of expertise or a specific domain. So we've talked about the nurse, we've talked about the teacher, we've talked about all of the HR director. So your professional history is a pattern recognition engine and it's running whether you call yourself a coach or not. But like I said earlier, it's not just these formal professional positions where that pattern recognition comes from. Remember, I gave the example of the car salesman and the person who works at an airline. So those things are running that pattern recognition. It is running whether you call yourself a coach or not. It's running whether you're talking about your professional career or you're talking about life experience. And so you already have that as well. And the willingness, this is the third thing, the willingness to ask the right question is a skill. The willingness to ask the right question, to read between the lines of what your client is saying to you, that is a skill. And it is developed through practice, not a certification, not a large audience. It's developed through coaching conversations. It's developed through the experience of asking something and then watching what opens up. And it is developed through paying attention and seeing what sticks and what doesn't. And that skill, it grows as you coach. It doesn't grow before you coach. And you can't develop it in a certification program. You can't develop it by growing your social media audience. You can't develop it by taking brand photos. You can't develop it by building a website. You develop it in the room coaching clients. So those three things, genuine care for people, pattern recognition, and asking the right questions at the right moment, those three things are what your clients are going to pay you for. They're not going to pay you for your certificate. They're not going to pay you for your follower count. They're not going to pay you for the color palette on your website. They're buying you in the room with them, caring about the outcome that you promised, and bringing all the skills that you've acquired to that conversation that you're having with them. That right there is coaching. And you already have most of that. Am I right? So before I move on, I want to talk about something that I really think is important to surface in this conversation. And that is the cost of believing that the barrier to entry into this industry is high. Believing that myth is not just delayed income, it's delayed impact. So while you're waiting to be qualified enough to coach, the people that you have been called and the people that you are meant to serve, they've been trying to solve this problem without you. Your delay, it is not neutral. It has downstream consequences for real people. These are real people we're talking about with real lives. And these people, they need what you have. And maybe they found a less qualified substitute because you weren't ready yet. You're not available. The thing is that the coaching industry is much more accessible than it's telling you. And it's not because the work isn't real, because the work that we do is real. It's because the barrier that's been described, it's not the real barrier. The real barrier is not a certification, it is not a large audience. The real barrier is your decision. And that barrier was always yours to move out the way. Not the certification boards, not the audience algorithms, the Instagram algorithm or whoever, or even your niche definition. It's yours. That barrier can be removed at any time. So before I close, I want to just talk about something that I mentioned at the top of this episode. And that is on May 30th, I am hosting Her Income Lab. It is a live 3-hour workshop. And when I tell y'all, I am excited about it. I was working on the content for that right before I hopped on today. So it's going to be good, y'all. It is going to be good. We are going to build your coaching offer in real time. And here's the thing. The cost of this workshop is teeny, tiny, tiny, tiny when you think about the value of the workshop. You are going to leave with an offer that you can sell at a premium. A premium. But I want to talk about why this episode connects directly to Her Income Lab, because this workshop, it is not for the woman who needs more credentials before she starts. Her Income Lab is for the woman who already has everything she needs and she's finally ready to build her offer and she's finally ready to make this thing official. The barrier that you've been told exists, it doesn't. And Her Income Lab is where we're going to prove it to ourselves and you're going to prove it to yourself. Registration for the wait list opens next week. So if you are not on the wait list, this is the last call to get on the wait list. You can get on the wait list by clicking the link down in the description, or you can visit my website at herincomeedit.com/workshop. If you are not on the wait list, get on the wait list. I am limiting this room to only 30 people. That's it. Once we hit 30, that's it. And here's the thing that I want you to take away from this entire conversation. And that is, the coaching industry is more accessible than it has been telling you. It is more accessible than the content that you're seeing. It is more accessible than what these systems and these platforms that are being incentivized off of your beliefs. It is more accessible than what they're telling you. The barrier is much, much lower than it looks. The credential that you're waiting for, that's not the thing you need. The audience you're building, that is not the prerequisite. The niche you're perfecting, that is not the condition that needs to be met. The condition that needs to be met is your decision. And you can make that decision today. You can make that decision today. Hello, hello, hello. Thanks for joining. So, happy Friday. I want y'all to come back on Monday. On Mondays, we talk about mindset. If you haven't already, hit the subscribe button. If you're on YouTube, turn your notifications on so you don't miss a beat. I am here Monday through Friday at noon Mountain Time with, something juicy. I think is juicy. Something juicy about the coaching industry. I offer my perspective. I offer my POV. Today we talked about, is the coaching industry hard to break into? And if you missed that conversation, go ahead and run it back on replay. I want to thank each and every single one of you who has popped in and out of this live today. I see you. I see you. I don't know what's going on with the chat today. So if you were chatting, if you had questions, I apologize. I'm not able to get to them. But once this populates on my YouTube channel, if you can just pop your question in the comments, or you can always email me or send me a message on LinkedIn or Instagram, and I can get your question answered there as well. Yeah, happy Friday. I hope y'all have a wonderful, wonderful, wonderful weekend. I will be back here at noon Mountain Time on Monday. Oh, yes. If you're not on the wait list for her income lab, get on the wait list. Wait list pricing opens next week, and it's only available to people who are on the wait list. Link is in the description for that, or you can go to my website at herincomeedit.com/workshop. I hope to see you in the room. We are going to be building, we are going to be moving your coaching business from an idea to having an actual offer that you can sell to your first client that week at a premium. And at a premium, I mean by $2,000 or more. Her Income Lab, I don't want you to miss it. It's going to be lit, y'all. If you've ever been in one of my workshops, you already know how it goes down. All right. Have a wonderful weekend. Thanks so much for joining, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.